Welcome to day number 5 of the Wisdom of Birth intensive. Today is a lovely day because it's almost like such a natural progression from the way we've been deciphering and figuring this out and working it and unfolding it and learning a whole new language as if we are the baby and we are coming to birth to learn from birth. So I'm just going to go over the first few days and then bring us to this point and why I chose Rome to speak on this in the middle of a Wisdom of Birth group and introducing a sacred masculine in a very meaningful way for me. And I'm going to come to that also. So we started off with a general approach to a sacred model of birth in our introduction, and all the different aspects that could possibly kind of unfold like a flower into that. And then Ma Sophia took us on an incredible insight and movement journey of reframing and recoming to understand and explore our womb space. And we lose Rome. Okay, he'll come back. And then Divya spoke about the sacred feminine and bringing in a very beautiful Vedic and kind of universal understanding of so much more aspects to women and to the sacred feminine and to this energy that we're trying to understand in birth and also in our own lives. Yesterday, Suzanne spoke about primal imprinting. And from a different way, what is happening in our energy and our neuropsychology of coming into this world and why it's so important, what is happening to us in our wombiverse, our womb universe, being so connected with mother and in womb. And then once we've been born also and navigate growing up and parenting. So she brought us into that very meaningful path. And for me, there's this beautiful flower unfolding here in the language of birth, but there's an important element that two elements that I feel we need to explore more. Once, there is no sacred feminine without a sacred masculine. We can all know that. And in ever what way, inviting this to be present on this course, I mean, I don't want to get like all sacred masculine because there's a male in the room, but really, I think it's quite phenomenal to bring in an intentional, powerful, sacred masculine presence into a very deeply vulnerable space of sacred feminine is meaningful to me because it's being brought in a spirit of understanding the concepts of this language, and because it's unfolded so practically in front of us, it's very difficult often, I find, as a birth worker to include to know how to include a male, the father, the husband, you know. So this is also an important part for me because we need to hear from the fathers. The second part is that in the true Holy Spirit of sacred feminine and masculine, Namanta is resting because her body needs it and she's listening to her body. And her sacred masculine is holding her space here while she rests. I mean, do you even have to speak? That's like, this is, for me, this is unfolding it beautifully. But you do have to speak, Rome, because I'm going to introduce you now. I was so honored to meet you and your family when your first baby was when Nicole was pregnant with your first child, and she attended my sacred pregnancy retreat in the garden route. You came all the way from Cape Town, and we made those connections. And then you went away and you had your beautiful baby and you had another beautiful baby. And in that time, you can catch us up a little bit also, but in that time, you became more and more connected with birth and you had a home birth with your first 2 babies, and you decided to have a free birth with your 3rd baby. So you were there supporting your woman in her birthing knowing. And that's what reconnected me to invite you to speak on our free birth panel for dads and partners or couples, because I wanted to hear how you connected into that space. And on top of it, there's a few other things that you brought into this. One is your wealth of working with and experience over the years, working with men and also working with breath. So that very much interests me. And your work, which maybe at the end or at the beginning, wherever the time is right, to share a little bit more about your compassionate, your role as managing director of the Compassionate Birth Project and what that is bringing into our hospitals in the Western Cape. And so, a deep-hearted welcome to you, and wonderful to bring in your presence and your family's presence into this group. And thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such a beautiful welcome. I honestly truly feel honored to be here today, especially, well, I think, I had a bit of nervousness coming in because the only man amongst all the, the goddesses here. And it's so lovely to know that there is at least one other brother with me here, and appreciate your presence, man. It's good to have you. But either way, it's truly an honor to be here as part of this Wisdom of Birth gathering and this summit. I had to actually check myself last night and be like, okay, are you going to be able to honor this privilege that you've been given, and I just had to sit with myself and being like, okay, we're just going to really just be real and try here to explore this topic of holding space, which is such a powerful topic. And I'm really just settling in now and just breathing in to this space, and I just truly feel grateful to be here. So thank you, Gauri. And I guess we can jump in. So I'm going to share a bit of my story, and I just wanted to go through like just a brief overview of what I'll be sharing. My story will come a little bit later, but so the topic is holding space in birth. And it's been a journey of now about 6 years since our first baby was born, and we've now have 3 babies. And this journey of understanding holding space and how to truly contain the sacredness, of birth has been an amazing unfolding. And I must say that I haven't gotten it perfectly by any means, but I just have experienced a lot of beautiful learning through the years. So I guess I want to ask the question to you guys before we jump into all the nitty-gritties, and I'll ask it now, and then I'll just share briefly what I'm going to go through. The question is, what is holding space? Like, what does that even mean? And I think, we can all kind of figure that out for ourselves, and maybe we can come to a beautiful consensus here together, or an amalgamation of everybody's ideas. So we will go into that, and then I'm going to tell you a bit about my story. And I think and then after that, I think it's important to look at certain things, like what actually is the common things that actually disturb the space of birth, because I think knowing those things can be quite helpful in it's like, we release ourselves from these things so we can focus onto what's actually important. And then I'm going to go through a bit. I think it is important to go through the Compassionate Birth course, some of the topics that we cover in the Compassionate Birth course that we teach to the medical students at UCT, as well as now we're moving into hospitals, teaching the maternity staff, or just training them and sharing these concepts of how to activate compassion within ourselves, so that we can hold space for moms and babies going forward. I just want to double check that my signal is fine. Can you guys hear me correctly? Okay, awesome. All right, so what is holding space? I would love to hear if anybody has a kind of brief explanation of what they think holding space actually is. So I think, was it Manjari put a hand?
Yeah, hello, good morning, whatever is there for you. Yeah, I would say it really means just allowing things to unfold naturally without trying to control or kind of like make them kind of shifts any kind of way that I would like it to be. So just being present with it and allowing to happen whatever is happening without intervention.
Lovely.
Some nice
Thank you
ones
so
in the
much.
chat
I
also.
loved what you. Okay, let's see. Thank you so much, Manjari. So she mentioned was allowing things to unfold naturally and being present with this unfolding. And Laverne says allow it to unfold on its own, be present in each day, celebrate both challenges and achievements, having a plan with freedom of knowing that baby also chooses their journey. That's amazing. Wow. That's such a great paragraph that says so many aspects of what holding space is. Okay, thank you. And then Neha said, being a witness with authenticity and empathy. I love that word, witness. It's great. And authenticity is very powerful. Consciously being present, being open, it's allowing and protection. Amazing. That's Shasta. Thank you, Shasta. Protection, what a great word as well. And and in protection of what the other needs. Protection of what needs. Okay, I get that. Protection of the space, right? Yeah. So yeah, I love all the words, and all these words were kind of popping up for me as well when I was thinking about it yesterday. So thank you. I don't know if Gary wants to share anything there. Are you fine?
Fine, but if anybody also wants to share also more voice share, it's always lovely. So I would love that to continue. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's beautifully what's written there. Holding space has become to mean so much to me, like everything, but it's like that simple, you know. So it's I'd love to just hear more about it right now from you.
Yes.
Well, can I just say that I really feel it's about allowing the mother, the birthing mother, to be completely in herself without anything interfering around her. So holding that space so that she doesn't have to think of anything or respond to anything besides what's happening in her body. So she can be completely present in herself and not have anything around her upset her or interrupt her process.
Beautiful, so much, Lisa. Yeah, that is a very, very important point, that it's all about the mom. So whatever allows her to be in her process, it's amazingly to your ability to hold space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one more.
Yes. For me, holding space brings up the word connection, and you're in whatever way you're holding space, wherever it is, you're allowing the person that you're holding space for to connect to themselves, to their power, to source, to you, to feel that connection in that space in many ways.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that's powerful. connection. So, I mean, I guess here we can see that already there's all these words, you know, which have all these different meanings that are coming together. And, you know, there's a lot of aspects to it in a sense, but also it's something that is also just kind of a feeling, right? It can be simplified into just kind of a way that happens when you have the right intention. Hey. And I think that I'm sure all these people who are holding space for women and for anyone really, but each person I'm sure has their own kind of method and their own unique expression of how they want to hold that space, and you know, the result may be slightly different, but we get the same results at the end, which is the person kind of feels safe. And to me, that's a big part, is safety, allowing that mother who's going through her deepest process to feel safe in that. So I just want to add that word in, safety. Safety. So I'm just going to go through some of the words that I wrote down. So we've got presence, allowing, we've got witness, we've got authenticity, we've got protection, we said allowing the mother to be without interference within her body, right? And then I brought in the word safety as well. Okay, I see there's more things in the chat here. I'm just going to look at them quickly. Leah said, without judgment or intervention. So allowing the person to be their true self without judgment or intervention. Very nice. Judgment is a important word that we're going to go through just now as well. At the foundation, it is being there for another. That's a beautiful simplification, right? Being there, just being there for another. Lovely. And Namanta said, being a conduit for the deeply emotional and spiritual process that is taking place. Wow. Okay, so conduit, so that's like a channel. Okay. Lovely stuff, guys. I think everybody here, you know, has an experience. I'm sure all of us do, because everyone has here, somebody has held space for you in your life, and I'm sure you've had the opportunity to hold space for another. It's a really beautiful human experience that we get to explore, right? So okay, so we've got a bit of an idea on what space is, what it can be. I'll put it out one more time. Anybody else want to say any last words about what they feel it is? Oh wait, here we've got another one. Being full of your own energy when we are holding space for another. Yes. Lovely. I say be present with my own true self without any inhibitions, and with a complete sense of safety. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So let's move along then. So we've got a bit of a sense of what holding space is, and for me, so I'll go a bit into my story now, and I guess that will help me to explain like how I experienced holding space, or how I learned what that is. And before any of the babies came along, or before I even really started my relationship with my partner Nicole, who, by the way, you know, would have loved to be here with me on this call, but we are moving at the moment, so we're packing up our house, and there's just a lot happening, and we don't have the support that we would like in order to take care of the kids so that she could be here. So she's holding space right now for me to be here, and I appreciate that. So I just wanted to mention her, and just I am thinking about her right now. And she's a big part of my story. But so before I even met her, I felt a calling towards energy healing, you know, what we call energy healing, which it was kind of, yeah, it was the first thing that I felt that was different from my, you know, very normal corporate path that I was on. And it felt like, okay, this is something new, and I can explore this, and you know, I can explore a new part of myself. And yeah, that was all about channeling energy, and you know, when you do energy healing on someone, it's obviously very energetic. It's very much in your own mind how you create a space of healing for this person. So that was my introduction to holding space. It was mentally creating a space in my mind where this person can be and experience this channeled energy that comes from source, right? And that was always my foundation of what holding space is, and I've carried it through everything else that has happened. So it always has helped me to just bring my visual, like have a visual in my mind of the energetics that's actually happening when I'm holding space. So that is kind of how I've always engaged with it. And I feel it has truly helped me a lot in understanding what it means to hold space. Because I think we can get wrapped up in the physicalities of how they feel, how I feel, what's happening in the space, you know, who's coming and who's going, and the physical things, which are extremely important. But I feel like when we start from the top, which is our thoughts, it sets a beautiful tone and an intention going forward. And I mean, you don't have to visualize it to create that intention, but that was my my kind of access into this realm of holding space for people and understanding what that actually is. So I studied energy healing, and I actually went to India, and I did yoga and became a yoga teacher, and then I furthered my energy healing study, and there I learned all about creating shapes with, you know, visualizing shapes of energy. And that then further solidified, you know, this understanding of holding a space. So it was just like, for me, very visually and spatially, I can think that if there's somebody here that I want to hold space for, if I place a bubble of, we can call it love, we can call it healing energy, we can call it protection, that on some level I'm holding space right now. So that is just on the most basic level for me. Without even doing anything in my thoughts, I can create that intention, right? So that's kind of what started for me. And so whenever I was, or, you know, shortly after that, Nick got pregnant. Me and Nicole started dating, and then shortly after that, she got pregnant, and we came back, and now it was very, you know, very physical, very, very intense emotional experiences that we were going through, and I had to learn what it means to be there physically and not just, you know, from an energetic point of view. And that's when, you know, I came up against a lot of, I guess, barriers within myself, and I had to realize that it's also about being present with what's happening with me. So being able to process in the moment my emotion was a big thing. And during the birth of my first child, Mayu, which was in 2017, yeah, there was lots of insecurities coming up for me during the birthing labor process. There was so much coming up for me, and I hadn't truly come to with how I process my emotions at that stage. I was figuring myself out, and I got stuck a few times during the birth in my own emotions, and Nicole told me that she could feel that I wasn't truly there at certain times during it was a 12-hour labor. So she told me like she could feel that there was certain times when I wasn't actually there, even though I was in the room with her. She could feel that I wasn't there. So that was a big learning for me, that okay, it's not just about just having the intention. There's some action that needs to happen within myself, and it's also not just about being in the room either. So at those moments, maybe it would have been better if I even left the room and dealt with whatever I was going through, to come back with more presence, right? So that was it was a big realization for me that okay, there's something I'm missing here, and I need to go deeper. So then 2 years later, with the well, actually, as a result of that, I got involved with the Compassionate Birth Project, because our amazing midwife and doula at the time were involved with that the Compassionate Birth Project, and then they invited me to become a part of it. And once again, yeah, I was honored to be the only male involved in this female world, and it was it's been such a blessing. It's been such a blessing, and I've truly found my purpose, a channel for my purpose through that. So holding space for these medical students, and it's actually, well, it's holding space for moms and babies, but through educating medical students on how to activate compassion. So we teach meditation, breath work, empathic kind of how to connect with people, how to show empathy, and how to listen, how to truly listen to people when they're speaking, you know. So we'll go through some of that stuff a bit later. And then my second child, Noah, was during 2020. And the whole pregnancy was during 2020. He was born in September. And yeah, it was a tough time. It was a tough time. So during that whole process, we were both, you know, there was this kind of the shadow over the whole world, I think, during that time. And we all had to really look and be like, whoa, what's happening? What's real for me, you know? So that was during that time, I think I got into an understanding of how I process my emotion. And because of what happened in 2020. And then I was blessed to be able to go to Vipassana for 5 days, literally just before the birth. So I came back from Vipassana. Nicole told me, you need to be back by this date. And I came back on that date, and that evening at 3 a.m., she went into labor. And so it was amazing how synchronistically that whole thing happened. But I'd been able to process a lot while I was at Vipassana, because if anybody knows about Vipassana, it's about breathing, and it's about scanning through the body and feeling where are the blockages, where's the pain, where's the emotions, where's it all sitting. And that just, when, you know, through Vipassana, I had kind of discovered, okay, this is how I process emotion, and it's kind of a variation of what I learned there. So being there for the second birth, a much more challenging birth. It was a 54-hour labor, and it was a big difference. You know, if I use her as the measuring stick of the experience, you know, she said, like, I was extremely, it was like night and day compared to the first birth, as in terms of how much I was actually able to be there. Even though it was, you know, so many hours, I was able to really be there. And I was so deeply in my breath during that whole time as well, that that was the thing for me that unlocked it, was just focusing on my own breath and being able to be present with my own emotion. So that was kind of the game changer for me, was realizing that, okay, breath is the thing. Breath is my thing. And it may not be the same for everybody, but how do we, when the shit is hitting the fan, basically, I mean, it was a really difficult, difficult labor. So, and there was a lot of doubts coming through as to at which point do we go to hospital, after 48 hours, it became very, very kind of scary as to like what could happen. But we trusted, and we knew that what we were doing was right. And we could see in Nicole that she had the strength to keep going. And there was a point, I must say, at about 50 odd hours, when I made a mistake and I ate the wrong thing. I ate some very kind of sugary, carby thing, which I was kind of craving at that time because I was so tired, and my energy just dropped all of a sudden, and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was literally holding Nicole, and she was having hectic contractions, and I was like falling asleep. I was blacking out, kind of thing, and it was also like, just for me, that was a turning point in my life, because in that moment, I hadn't done this specific type of breathing. It's called box breathing, very commonly known, but I hadn't done it in years. And in that moment, I don't know why, something just said, do box breathing right now. So I did box breathing. I started doing that, and the energy, well, whatever was happening in my body moved. It shifted. The whatever chemicals my brain produced, I was able to be awake. I was alert. I was more present at that. During that, I did box breathing for about an hour or more, and I was more present in that hour than I had been throughout the whole time before that. So, and that changed the game for me. I was able to continue through till the end of at the 54-hour mark, when she finally gave birth, which actually was a fetal ejection reflex, and she was standing up, and baby just came out, and she caught baby in her own hands while standing. So it was an incredible experience, really intense, and that was when I realized, I'm powerful, and my wife is powerful, and we've got something amazing here that I need to just keep protecting and keep holding and keep delving deeper within myself, because I can do this. I mean, look what we've come through, So that was really an amazing turning point in my life, where in a realization of my own power and my own freedom. And gave me a lot of courage to move forward with our path going forward. So I feel very blessed that to have had that experience, and then we moved away from the city after that, not planning to have any more babies, and our third child got conceived. We still don't know how it happened, because we were actively trying not to have any babies, and it was kind of, he decided it was his time, and at this stage, Nicole had developed enough courage and wisdom and sovereignty, I guess, to decide that she wants to do the free birth. It wasn't my choice. It was her. And I just said, okay, I'll support you as best I can through it. And we did the free birth. It was a beautiful unfolding how it happened. And there was a few times along the way where she lost a bit of that courage. you know, and I also lost a bit. I lost my courage as well along the way, and I was lucky enough to remember that, oh wait, what are we actually doing here? And then I came to her and I said, babe, are we sticking to what we were going to do with pre-birth and what you said you wanted to do? It was maybe about 8 months in, a month before the birth, and yeah, towards the end we remembered what our intention was, which was to own it 100% and to not give our power away, you know. And so there was a bit of that happening. She was giving a bit more of her experience and her power away to you know, anybody that wanted to help, to the people that were available that wanted to help, but not realizing that was taking away from her ability to own the experience. And I was doing the same. I was happy to let them tell us what we needed to do, and then we came back to ourselves, and then I'm just so proud of how she was able to move through it and to own her birth. And honestly, I can't say that I did much in the free birthing process. I was taking care of the kids mostly, and she did it all. And how I was able to hold space was just to be with the kids, to give her the space that she needed, to move through what she needed to move through, you know. So that the day that she was in labor, she was by herself in the house most of the day. I took the kids and I took them for a ride and to the park and whatever we could, so that she could move through what she needed to. And because she didn't want anyone else around. She wanted to go through it by herself. So that was amazing. And then it just so happened synchronistically again that our doula, who we always had a midwife and a doula on call, popped over to give us something, I think 30 minutes before baby actually arrived. I was busy putting my daughter to sleep, and I heard the screams changing. So I heard her moaning shifted gears, and I was like, wait, something's happening. And my daughter was still awake. I said, just wait here, I'm coming now. And baby was halfway out already. And yeah, and it was just an amazing experience. I think the active labor lasted just 2 or 3 hours. And yeah, so that's a bit of my story. I feel like the last birth, it was a totally different experience of holding space. I didn't feel active in it at all. It was just a protective, passive intention and knowing that she had it fully under her own ability. And compared to the second birth, which was I was the presence that was holding everything together. So it just showed to me that it can completely be one end of the spectrum or the other end, depending on the needs of that person that we are holding space for. And yeah, and that's been my story up until now. And now we are 5 months in into our life as a family of 5, and yeah, it's a lot to deal with as young parents, and we aren't perfect at it, but you know, it is what it is, and I feel blessed to be able to do the work that I do and to share these stories and to be able to continue to hold space in a few different capacities. So yeah, that's my story with regards to the birth. Yeah, is there any questions on that or comments or anything?
A few questions. Should I wait till the end, or should I?
We can, yeah. Actually, you've set up time for that at the end, right?
Yeah, but we can also, just
Flow with it.
flow with
I'm
the.
happy to do that. I like that. I like having questions and then just a bit of change in the flow as we move through it.
I've got so I'll keep mine for later, or did you mean now?
No, yeah. If you have the question now, let's
Okay.
go for it.
What you said in the beginning about creating the energy in your mind and that space in your mind. I want to, I mean, that was something you started with, and that hasn't been the start of how I can kind of discovered my work in energy healing. But I've found that I've come back to that space, and I found it a very, very helpful space in parenting when I'm very, very scared. And there's been a few instances, and I think, just COVID is one incident. So we all have this universal experience because of the way the world is right now, and because we, well, maybe not all of us, and maybe not exactly parents, but we go when you have children, you have this experience of worrying, which takes it up to a very deep intensity. And sometimes you can see your children going through something hard and you can't protect them from it. It's life. And I found what you said so helpful for me in a very practical way of creating that energy around them and actually connecting me energetically with them or with something I want to feel protected in, whether it is my energy or my house or my child or my practice. And I've done a lot of, I've like worked, you practice it more, that you become actually able to put a cocoon of energy around them and trust that they will process and unfold and have, their life's journey. But sometimes it's like the most you can do. And it's the most you can do when your baby's in NICU sometimes. And it's the most you can do when your pet is at the vet, wherever we feel. So I just wanted to hear a bit more about that from you. And do you still like actively use it in your parenting and your relationship? And did you use it in the birth? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I did. I've done it in all the births, and I still do it as often as I can. I'm someone who's a little bit, it was my first kind of passion, we can say, or interest in the alternative and spiritual way of life. And it still is. It's my favorite thing. And I love this idea that we can create energy, we can create shapes with energy, we can create force fields, we can create anything really we want to with energy. And it's always a field of research that I'm constantly delving into. So I did do it, and I use it with my kids all the time, especially. So I try different things, and if it's an emotional thing, if maybe there's emotion that they are going through and it's difficult, I will place a sphere around them, and I use the flower of life as a pattern that kind of goes at the sphere, and I see the flower of life around the sphere, and that's kind of one of the things I was taught, and placing it around them, and in that you can put any intention. It can be an intention to help them process their emotion. It could be an intention for healing. It could be a protection from other energetic forces or anything. I often do it for my son, because he can be quite a restless sleeper. So if I put him to sleep, then I'll also put a bubble of energy around him and say, you're going to sleep for 8 hours straight. And it doesn't always work, but it's I do it anyway. And it's it's just about using your intention. It's using this muscle of creating intention. And obviously our subconscious mind especially, works with visuals and works with these symbols, right? Which are visual creations. So that's it's something that I'll always use it, and I think it's very powerful. At the very least, puts me at ease, you know, to a certain degree, and that in itself is valuable. Yeah,
I think the value of having parents embodying and exemplifying being at ease is a very valuable quality right now. And for the father to maintain that when a mother is losing it and can contain that holding space is like the medicine, probably. Yeah.
So I mean, I love the subject. I can speak about it all day, but I don't know how relevant it is to this specific topic. But the other thing I do as a father that I feel is important is I often try to, as much as I can, just place a whole field or bubble or whatever, that same protection around the whole house.
Yes.
At night, especially.
Yes.
You know, that just feels great for me. It just makes me feel like, okay, I'm taken care of, especially on an energetic level, and yeah, I think it's quite powerful.
This is what the entire talk is about. For me, it's the language of birth. It is the language of birth, because I mean, how can you speak about a flower of life? This is so relevant. This is the sacred geometry that we're bringing in to actually practice and align our resonation by practicing drawing the flower of life, or thinking of it, or using the energies of frequency of light or sound. I know you guys sing, and breath. So this is exactly what it's about, and it doesn't feel familiar because we're so programmed to having birth being about the protocols. So even here we're like, are we allowed to speak about the real stuff? There is only the real stuff. There is only the real stuff. Birth isn't listening to anything else. Birth is listening to that intention that you put into that energy sphere that you put around your house. That's what it's doing. And the whole of the universe and material stuff after that is going to happen based on the energy that we put in. So this is what it's all about for me. It's everything else happens on these templates. So if we could become so passionate about learning how we process our emotions. I love it that you said that we process things differently. That, and to understand what we need to process our emotions is radical responsibility. And it's radical responsibility in birth, in space holding. It's so this is so relevant. And I'm going to keep some more of my questions for later. Maybe you can also show us the box breathing, which if it's the same one I'm thinking of, it's like such a simple one. It's like the only one I can do. If it's the same one. I don't know, but at some point, I'm going to keep my questions because I'm getting all excited and I want to hear from you more. Unless someone else, please, has questions and input. Yeah? And then we go on. Jagat.
Hi there, guys. Thanks so much, Ron. What you're saying is resonating quite a lot with me in terms of how you spoke about your insecurities in the first pregnancy, and how your wife noticed your unavailability at certain moments. That's something I feel I'm currently in. I am not yet at the stage where I recognize my emotional ins and outs, so to speak, and then how to regulate and be present in the way that requires for holding space. So I wanted to just ask, do you have any just short, doable tips that I can do, like in the next few days, just to practice and learn how to get more grounded in my in my own emotions, such that I can hold better space?
Yes. Awesome. That's such a valuable question, man. Thank you so much for being honest. Yeah, I do. So there's as we say, there's a few ways that, I mean, everyone kind of needs to find their own way, but I'll share what has really worked for me. So we'll do the box breathing later, which is excellent just for presence. It activates focus and almost like a relaxed focus that it brings you into this moment here and now, and you'll just be fully present with that. So we'll do that later. That is a must have in your toolkit, is box breathing. And then specifically for processing emotions, there's another it's a technique, but it's just a way of focusing your mind while breathing that I use, that has been very helpful for myself and like my clients and the groups that I facilitate. So I don't know if you would like to experience that, as a group. I can lead us through maybe like 5 minutes of breathing if you want. Yeah. Kari?
Maybe in the like at about in about 15 minutes we'll have a 10-minute break, so we could do the breathing before or afterwards. Maybe afterwards.
All right.
Listening to you now. Yeah.
Okay. No, I thought it would be cool to do it a little bit now and then also then again.
Yes,
just
do
so
it
that
now.
we have, we have a few chances to breathe together, which is, creating a lot of resonance as well. So let's breathe a little bit and then we'll take Neha's question. Thank you, Neha. Okay, so with this breathing technique, it's all about just confronting, and I don't want to use, confronting, I use the word confronting, but it's not like an aggressive thing. It's a calm confrontation of your own emotion, right? And so essentially what we'll do is we'll get into our breath. So let's take a few deep breaths together. So you want to first breathe all the air out. Make sure that you have a decent posture. You don't want to be hunched over. Breathe all the air out. And then take a nice slow deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose or the mouth. Nice and slowly. So in this breath, we are elongating on the exhale. So we want a nice longer exhale, right? As soon as we do a longer exhale, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which allows us to relax. It may help to get into it is just to listen to the sound of your breath as you breathe out. It feels good to sigh a little bit. That's perfectly fine. I often do that. Okay, and now that we are in tune with our breath, we want to look at the emotion that you're currently feeling. And it could be any emotion that you have been feeling over the last 24 hours or days or whatever. So we want to bring to mind that emotion while doing this nice, slow, smooth breath. And as we bring that emotion to mind, we can think of, maybe the reactions that we've had or whatever is connected to that emotion. And notice where you feel that in your body. Where do you feel this emotion? I want you to kind of pinpoint the location. And then imagine that as you're breathing in, the air is entering that space, whether it's, in your chest, in your neck, in your head, shoulders, doesn't matter. And I want you to almost try to find the center, like the pinpoint center of that area in your body where you're experiencing that emotion. And then breathing in, so letting the air come into that space, which is all happening kind of visually and on a feeling level. So with the inhale, the air is coming in, the breath is coming into that spot. And on the exhale, we want to create a little bit of just spaciousness around that, around those muscles, around those cells that are there. So we imagine that that emotion or those feelings or those cells, those atoms that are there are all just creating a little bit of space around each other with the exhale. Breathing in, and as we breathe in, perhaps we're having more sensation there. Maybe we're getting more information about what we are feeling. And then on the exhale, we're just creating that little bit of spaciousness. It's a very soft, it's like you're giving that area a hug, but a soft hug. Yeah, and as we continue doing that, more and more information will come, more of that energy that's blocked there or that's stuck there in a sense will just slowly but surely release itself. It will loosen itself. You will get more information. You maybe have more images come to mind, and then eventually we want to find some forgiveness for if we are judging ourselves about feeling this, and it's a process that can take some time. 10, 20, 30 minutes is a really good amount of time to sit with it, and you will feel lighter, you will feel better. I don't want to take up too much time for the breathing now, but I know it feels really nice, and I hope everybody is able to just release something in this time. And when you are ready, we may return back to Zoom and take your time.
It's just a mistake.
So yeah, that's just one of the ways, and it's just about acknowledging what you're feeling really, and then using the breath to become very present with it, and create a spaciousness within yourself for that emotion. Yeah, and it can work quite quickly at times when it's an intense emotion, or if it's something that's deeply ingrained, it may take a few sessions over a few days, weeks, to truly release it. So Jagat, how do you feel, brother?
Yeah, thank you. That is a helpful technique. What's funny is I've often incorporated those techniques in my life, but just not with that intention. Right? I do pranayama, although trying to empty myself, trying to empty my thoughts, trying to empty the things that have been weighing on me so that I can focus on something that I'd want to do. I just never thought to apply it to my emotional states. I'm very outward thinking. I'm very, problem solving on the outside, but never really thought to turn it on myself. And it's a lot harder. It's actually quite daunting because I felt them kind of building up over the years. And it's like, there's a boogeyman in the closet. You just don't want to go and deal with it yet. That's where I'm at right now.
Thank you, man. Thanks for
So
sharing.
like you said,
Yeah,
I think it'll take a few.
it does.
take a
It
few
takes
of
some
those.
practice. It definitely takes some practice, but it's just about facing that and confronting those emotions that are sitting there, because otherwise they come out when you don't want them to come out. Moment you it's gonna really it's gonna hurt someone, or it's going to disturb the space that you're meant to hold actually. So yeah, it still happens to me. I still have reactions and things like that, but it's just to be able to, okay, I can exit the room now and I can do some of this breathing, even if it's 5 minutes, and come back and the space will feel lighter. And so we need to be able to have that ability. Right? But yeah, pranayama is we can use it in so many ways, and it's totally up to you to figure out like tricks that work for you, But I found that trying to like empty my thoughts, or trying to push away this emotion and feel something else, was counterproductive for me. Was much more quicker to just feel it 100% as deeply as I can in that moment, because then I don't have to feel it in the next moment. In a sense, I feel lighter and I can move on with something else, because I've given it the intention it's actually calling for. It's calling for my intention. And we can do the same thing with our thoughts. So if we're having a lot of anxious thoughts, or it's a thought that's just doesn't want to go away, breathe into that thought. I found actually helps a lot. So then we can almost imagine that the air is entering our brain, and the breath is entering the brain, and that thought will literally just dissolve if we do that. It creates spaciousness within our thoughts as well.
I find what you were saying, Jagat, like just being like, you don't want to open that closet door because the boogeyman and like all of that feels too big. And I can sense that also within me, and kind of also what I can see in other people, men. And so I think it's maybe is quite a real thing. Maybe you could just speak about that, because like that, just if you open it a crack, you just know there's so much is going to come through. So how can we feel safe in opening that crack, in not being so overwhelmed that yeah we all carry so much.
That's a scary thing to do. It is a scary thing to do, and we just have to acknowledge that I'm feeling fear about this. So the beautiful thing is there's always a path. There's always a baby step, and it's maybe fear. What is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. So you think that everything's gonna come tumbling out at once and it's gonna crush you, or I don't know what is the fear saying to you, but it's false evidence. It's an illusion. It's not true. You totally have the capacity to feel your emotions as much as you want to feel them in any moment, and then say, okay, I've done a great job, but you need to give yourself some space, and trust is important. Trust yourself, and activate a bit of courage. I mean, it's easier said than done, but give yourself that You have to give yourself that space to be able to do that. And or have somebody hold space for you while you do that.
But this is birth, isn't it? Because and that was my question. It was, I think somebody put that up at the last part about the space holding, is so that, because that's what happens for a woman when she's shifting shades of moods, but also when she's in that very terrific place of birth, is to know that you can unravel and feel everything, and you're going to survive, and you're going to be okay, and you're going to be held, and you are safe, and all those things. But that's what we are scared of, I think, as women, is that it's unknown. We know there's this pain and this huge thing involved, and we need to know that we're going to be in a place that we can lose our shit and not be judged for it.
Yeah.
And as a man, for you to come and say, I hold that space, I recognize that, I am going to hold that space in the best way I can. So I'm going to do my work, but I'm not going to do my work on you. But as couples, we always do. But so I think this is the very, very important part. Yeah.
Yes. So that's why, I mean, for me, I guess my my take as a man is that I have to confront those spaces within myself in order for her to feel safe. Because otherwise she can feel that I'm afraid, that I'm afraid to go into myself. I'm afraid to face my own demons. Therefore, I'm not willing to witness her facing her demons. But if I have gone into my depths and, you know, in whichever way, whatever path I chose to get there, you know, there's many ways to get there. That's my choice, and that's your choice, you know, as the man. Okay, I'm speaking from a man's perspective. I think it is different for the masculine and the feminine, but it might also just be a human thing that, you know, we have fears and we have to look at them so that we can free ourselves from them. We have to face them on. And I guess what this quote has always helped me. It's the Rumi quote, and it says, the wound is where the light enters. Right? So that means that there's something there that's actually I'm going to benefit from, or that that's a gift, it's a blessing waiting for me behind those doors, which we think are so scary. You know, there's light there. There's light in that wound. So is it just boogeymen, or is it actually something beautiful behind it? You know? I remember Neha had a question.
First of all, thanks so much. It's been just so lovely listening to you. I didn't have a question, but I just had something that came to my mind that I wanted to share. As I was listening to you, it struck me that, I mean, when we're talking about describing holding space, we're talking about things that you need to do in order to hold space for the mother who's having this journey, and it's her journey and she's birthing. But actually you're having this whole experience yourself, and it's as much or more also about your journey. And that's exactly what being witness means. So you are, in fact, there's the Hindi word darshan, which we use when we go see a deity in a temple, is translated loosely as looking. You're not actually looking. Darshan means that you are present there, you're looking and you're being looked at. So it's not about the deity. It is about what that deity brings out in you. And that's exactly what I think it is for the person who's supporting a birthing mother. You are when you're there and you're being witnessed, it's about what that brings out in you, and what exactly what you said, how you're processing your emotions and your fears, and your stories so beautifully narrated, how every birth for you brought out something different in you, and the manner in which you held space therefore was different in each birth. And it's your journey. It's her journey is hers, but this is your journey. And this is so relevant even as birth workers. So as a doula, while I'm offering my services as a professional or whatever, and I'm there to support the mother, it's actually my journey of what I receive in each birth and what I learn and what my energy is leading me to. So that was just such a wonderful realization that I got through your story. So thanks so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful comment. Thank you so much. So yeah, that was on, I guess, confronting those fears and how to then, because that's all it is when it comes to emotional processing, is just going there where your ego, in a sense, doesn't want to go. So it's saying, okay, I see what my ego is trying to do. I'm gonna do the other thing. I'm gonna do what it doesn't want me to do, and it's stepping into that higher self, we can call it, or it's like being your own parent. You're being the parent, actually, because it's the child that wants to run away, maybe, and stepping towards the wound, but it's actually the light. That truly was the thing that shifted it for me. I was like, okay, it's scary, I get it, but it's not what I think it is. There's actually something beautiful waiting for me behind those scary doors, and that helped a lot.
Sorry to interject. There was a comment in the chat from Sophia. I think she asked the question and she said she had to leave at 10:30. I was wondering, maybe you could address the question. I feel it's personally important because I'm also from Zimbabwe, so this kind of work reaching my homeland I have a bit of a bias.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, I saw this. Okay, so more about the Compassionate Birth Project, and wondering if it's something that we can bring to Zimbabwe. This is possible, I think. So the Compassionate Birth Project was an organization, NPO, nonprofit organization created by midwives and doulas in Cape Town, because of the obstetric violence that was happening in the public health sector. And it's rough. It's rough in the public, the hospitals. So there's lots of abuse from nurses and from it's just a system, a culture of actually and of not honoring what their own that they know best, that they know what their body needs. Their body is giving them so much information during that time that it's actually loud and clear. It's not even how the intuition usually is, which is soft. It's when they are in birth, it's like so what they need to do. They just know, but they don't allow them to do that because of their protocols and whatever. So this was whole created. I think Gauri was part of the Compassionate Birth Project at some point. And then it became an initiative that was educating medical students in their 4th year about compassion in birth. We teach meditation. So a lot of it is about, so the concept is that if you are able to take care of yourself and your own emotions and your own stress levels, then you will be able to be compassionate for someone else. You'll be able to hold space for someone else. So it's very similar to what we've been speaking about, being able to hold space for yourself, actually hold for others, right? So it went completely online, and we do a WhatsApp course now. So you receive all the information on WhatsApp, and we take them through different forms of meditation, so to give them kind of taste of different things, of how they want to, and like let them develop their own tools of centering themselves and processing emotion, processing stress specifically. And then there's a very big component on listening, on what's the Nancy Klein's thinking environment, which is a world-renowned kind of methodology on using listening to activate kind of realizations and connection, and they call it listening to ignite. So it allowing the art of listening deeply to allow the person who's speaking to ignite something different within themselves than they usually would. Right, so it's a beautiful process, and there's exercises that they go through for listening. So it's centering, listening, and then we go through best birth practices as well with them. So understanding, golden hour, understanding the whole oxytocin journey, what creates more oxytocin release, and all of these things. Which, I mean, if you go into a hospital, there's bright lights shining down on them. We know for a fact that this disturbs the oxytocin release for the mother. So just simple things like that, being able to also be in whatever position they want. Thank you so much for the people who need to leave, Shut and Sophia. So Compassionate Birth Project, we are about to our first kind of training of this WhatsApp course, as well as an in-person component at Neisner Hospital for their maternity ward, which is currently going through a bit of a tough time because they've had a lot of complaints. So I'm very excited for that. So they've asked me to come in and be with their staff and hold space for their staff, learning how to stress levels, etc., so that they can become more compassionate. And yeah, so we're looking to expand, and I would love an opportunity to bring it to more and more places, and beyond South Africa would be so great. So please contact me about this if you have contacts in Zimbabwe that we can make this happen.
Yes, yes, yes. Amazing. How's everyone doing? Should we carry on, or should we let's take a 10-minute break? How does that sound? And then that we can address more of the questions on the group. There's still some nice questions lurking, and we can also just hear from everyone, and we can hear more from your presentation and your story. And lovely. Okay, it's 26 minutes past 10, so we'll meet in 10 minutes.
All right.
So we'll continue now. Rome, do you have somewhere you'd like to kick off again from? Some people are coming back. It's just frozen now. I love seeing the garden route forest in your background. So we've carried on recording. So I forgot we'd pressed record again. So do you have a point you want to carry on from, Rome, or should we move to questions? I think you still were in your flow.
well, I think we were just flowing. We were flowing as a group, you know,
Yeah.
which was nice, which I like.
Yeah.
So I really like the questions and everything. Just looking at what I had prepared, the only thing, well, one of the things we didn't really discuss yet is what can disturb the space, you know, which I think it could be a cool discussion. We don't have to spend too much time on it, but I think it's important to acknowledge. So yeah, I can go through just a few little things that I thought of. So one of the words that had come up when we were speaking about what holding space is, came up a few times, was allowing, right? So if allowing is what allows, creates a good holding of space, then for me, the opposite of that is for me. So trying to put putting the experience into a box and putting a label on it as, you know, a certain as, you know, a certain thing that maybe or maybe not, you know, has a reaction for you. So rather than putting any labels and judging the experience, rather, you know, we want to allow it to unfold without any judgment of any kind. Right? So judgment can be quite a thing. And when we teach our medical students about meditation, you know, it's all about non-judgmental kind of observation of yourself, you know, which is such a big thing, such an amazing skill to develop as well. How not to judge things and how not to judge yourself within that space. Right. So judgment can definitely deter that feeling of holding space quite a bit, you know. Yeah. The other thing is, you know, we spoke about fear quite a bit, and so one of the things is the projection of our fears onto the space, or onto the mother, or anything that's, you know, related to what's happening. So we must be very aware not to project what is happening, and that I guess connects to the judgment, you know, because now something's wrong and we need to fix it, in a sense, or yeah. But usually what's happening is we're having an inner reaction and it's appearing as something in the space to us, and it's something that we think externally we need to fix it, but maybe we can fix it internally. Not fix is not a good word, but maybe we can deal with it and hold it internally, right? An amazing phrase that I came across just recently was, you know, when there's anything happening that I'm reacting to, the phrase is, can I create a space within myself for this to live? So can I find a space for this experience to live within me and not get projected outwards, in other words? So it's about containing, I guess, containing that emotion that wants to be projected outwards, right? So I guess we can talk about what that looks like. But yeah, so that's, projection is a big thing, and then obviously that leads on to not containing your own emotional process, right? And then just, you know, very physical, on a physical level, being too much on your phone, maybe, you know, technology. And my partner, when I asked her about this, she was like, well, she actually mentioned phones, and as well as noise. So being aware of sound, I guess, and I guess that can really affect the mom to a certain degree. So yeah, I guess with the noises that you're making and trying to be aware of other people around you or things around you that are creating noise, and I guess the word noise can be applied to you know to different things as well. But it's anything that's creating this a bit of a chaotic feeling that we can try to minimize would be great. So that's just a couple of things that I thought of. I would love to hear from anybody else who can think of some things that can disturb the space.
Hi, can I chat?
Yes.
You know what I battle with in the in the birthing space is the bright lights, the noise from, you know, just the surrounding areas, just that there's no space for them to just be quiet, be present in their bodies. And so what I try and bring into that birth space is that just sense of, let's just focus on you. Let's try and just eliminate all noises and meditate on that and breathing and all that. But a battle with the bright lights and the, you know, the nurses in and out and all the rest. And so it really is about bringing the woman back to herself. But bright lights to me are an essential thing to take out of the birth space. It needs to be dim. It needs to be a few candles. It needs to be, yeah, more a safer space for women. If that makes sense, it really I battle with that.
Yeah, I can see Rome will come back, I guess.
Yes.
But here he is. But yes, I really hear this, and this is a very practical. So Rome, Lisa works in Johannesburg, yes? And
yes, as a
just,
doula.
you want to just rephrase what you were saying? But did you hear? You went off just at the end.
Sorry.
Okay. Maybe just rephrase it.
Heard about lights.
Yes.
I just heard the part about lights.
Yes. And so how can we, I don't know, take that away without taking, because, you know, the nurses, the doctors, whatever, wherever you are, they want that, they need that, you know. How do we breathe out of that?
Wow. Honestly, I've never had to experience that.
Yeah.
Now pretend we're a
And
bunch
that's
of the medical students and you're going to tell us that we must put our lights off. And we're going to say, oh no, but then I can't see the light flashing on the CTG machine, or I can't see. What if the baby comes out, or whatever? So you can, I'm sure you have had discussions like that when they say, yeah, sure, but. Because we've done it at home, we know how to do it without the lights. But that's not what you're asking. Hey, Rome knows how to do it without the lights.
When you're at a home birth and things like that, absolutely, it's wonderful. But to bring that into the medical space, so let's say that, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, personally, I'm still navigating the medical space, how to deal with them, especially when you want to change something that's so deeply ingrained in their protocols. It's literally like they're not allowed to switch off the light. So now how can I tell you, like, don't do your job, or they're probably gonna get in trouble if they switch off that light.
No,
you know
but
what
sorry,
I mean?
on the comment now, one of the ladies who I've never thought of doing this, but some ladies use sleep masks. And I love that idea. I love that idea.
genius. That is genius. So the mom would actually put a mask on her eyes.
I'm
Wow.
going to use that. I
I
love
would
that
feel
idea.
exquisitely vulnerable to have my eyes sealed in a place that I don't feel safe, and anybody could come at any time and do anything to me. I want my eyes open. I would like to close my eyes during a labor at home where I know I'm in a safe space and someone won't do that.
Sure,
That
sure.
triggers me a lot, actually, to be blinded in that situation.
Wow.
Yes, I can take my eyes off and open them, but I don't want to because I want to be in my space. But who else is in that fucking space, sorry, that can do anything just because my eyes are closed? I actually feel fear in my body from that.
Wow, it really triggered.
Wouldn't your doula be there to protect you? I mean, surely you're not going to do that unless you've not got someone there to protect you.
How do people feel about that? How does it make you feel? Karuna, how does it make you feel? Well, did it feel like, yes, I can relate to this. I can be in my own bubble and then I can do my thing? Because I think that was how it was intended.
I think I'm going to use it to offer. I'm going to offer it to moms. I'm going to suggest it, but I hear and I felt your trigger. You absolutely, it got something in you that just, it's something happened. You know, we could go into a whole past life things there.
I don't trust medicine. That's what happened. I don't trust it.
Yes. Okay.
I've seen what people do behind closed eyes. I've seen it.
Wow. Wow.
In a birth, not in a birth. So anyway, Rome, I don't want to overtake here, but I can see Leah's got questions. So hands off. I'm actually going to let you, because you're leading and flowing this so beautifully. Carry on.
Hey, hi. No, I just want to answer you, Gori. I feel like if you have to put like a sleep mask can actually, be an alternative. But if you have to put a sleep mask on, not to be disturbed by light, and then earphones in your ear, not to be disturbed by noise, I feel like then your space is not held. Then it's not a respect of your space, as we are talking about holding space. I feel like goes against it, and then you will have to go in self-protection and spend so much energy to just try to put those barriers against the external world. So I've been experienced like so many different births, from the whole medical to the last free births. And I've been through that. You have to put earphones and cover your eyes. And then it means you have no space, no safety, exactly as you said.
Yeah. It's very intense. It's kind of like a last resort, but it's a terrible thing to have to be able to have to do.
Yeah.
You know, because out for what you actually need.
So if we need to have like, if someone can hold your space, and I know it doesn't go with the rules, but then like I've been in this place, I turn off the lights and the nurse would come and turn it on, and my husband would turn it off, and she would turn it on, he would turn it off, and it was this this battle has been going on. So yeah, I guess the solution would be don't go to hospital. But yeah, we don't all have this option.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very difficult thing to have to observe in the hospital.
But Lisa's question was mostly, I think, about navigating that in a hospital and navigating those kind of protocols in your compassionate birth teaching, perhaps when you are wanting to share what birth needs and now saying, or you know that there are things that are happening. So how would be ways that you would navigate imparting those important aspects also, which sounds too simple, but important, yeah.
Well, the conversation that I've had with the recent hospital that we were involved with was that they are actually allowed to do anything as long as it is evidence-based. This is what they said. But that often doesn't get, you know, the light of day that it's supposed to, the evidence-based stuff, which is the best birth practices, which is the low light, etc., etc. So it's all about the management, as far as I know, you know. Are they creating a culture where they are actually implementing best birth practices, and where it's not just, oh, this is what we've always done, so we're going to continue doing it, and it's not coming from an arrogant space, rather than allowing the mother to have what she actually wants and what she needs to feel safe in her birth. So it's a big battle. And it's a battle that we're currently happening with this hospital, and we're going to see how much of the best birth practices we'll actually be able to implement in that time, you know. So they said they have a few nurses who allow the moms to, you know, get on all fours and do that, but the topic of the lights hasn't fully been addressed yet with regards to what we are doing with Neisner. But you know what, I'm gonna make this a point to contend with the hospital manager, who luckily in our case here, he's fully on board. He wants us to come in and change the culture. You know, he's hoping that you know, this we're going to be able to help him do that. So unfortunately, in most other hospitals, there's that kind of a management is not available, you know. So maybe it's changing. It seems like the world is changing. People are waking up, you know. So this is clearly the case here. You know, this guy isn't some alternative guy. He's just a normal doctor who was a hospital manager, but somehow something has softened his heart, and he wants to bring us in and create change. So it needs to come from that space. It needs to come from the top. And if it does, then we're going to see big change. And I'm hoping that, you know, what we're going to be able to do here will be an example that we can replicate elsewhere.
It's a conversation I had with Neisner Hospital several times in the last 2 decades. So I'm glad that it's coming to fructification now. And for me, it's hard to implement these things when a nurse has been through her own life, her own birth, or a doctor, their own. If you're a doctor, you've got to have some sense of competitiveness to get into medical school. Mostly it's not a little, it's a lot. So I recorded something once saying that, you know, the imprinting or the mental training, whatever, of the doctors comes in how are they chosen to go into medical school. And now in the last few years, that puts it in a whole new realm because of certain things. But so for you to survive all of that programming to get into medical school and go through all the training of nursing or medical students and come out at the other end and be able to apply compassionate birth practices needs a sacred model of birth unit in their training. Because if you don't get why birth is so important for everyone, and why this is the exact point that we need to have those interventions for those reasons, it's just going to look like, but I can't see where I'm stitching if you put the lights off, you know, or some reason, very, 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 very logical reason. Very logical reason. Oh, of course you can't see. So let's put the lights on. Yeah, so I think that we have to come from all angles. I think there's the top, and Andres is amazing. Before him was Earl, who was more amazing and set the railroads, I have to say. Earl set those railroads. And it has to come from the moms. None of us are out of the picture. It has to come from the moms. And guess what? Authority doesn't listen to females so well So it's got to come from the dads as well, because we all, and it's got to come from Lisa and the doulas. And we can't ever
100%.
think that it's got to come from somewhere else. Because I think I've been in like every single one of those places, and we can't ever be complacent. But what you say about it coming to for what the mom knows she wants, it's not about the lights, it's about what is making her feel safe. And you know what? If you have whatever reason, because we all have our own journey and we are in a hospital for whatever reason, wanted or not, for our birth, and there's a whole lot of stuff happening over there, actually maybe just being connected to yourself with some heavy things on your eyes is also helpful. So it's knowing what is safe for you, and it's for the birth space holders in whatever capacity to be honoring that. I think so. It has to come from all angles, and then they'll switch the lights off because they get it. Otherwise, they're going to have to increase their growing psychiatric wards, which they already have to do anyway.
100%.
We're all going to look for answers somewhere.
Yeah. I think, I mean, it's take a team, a big team, and a revolution of sorts to really change this in the world, but specifically in South Africa, you know, or for us. But definitely it's the same everywhere, it seems to be. So revolution.
Yeah. I mean, there was also very practical points. I don't want to overtake the talking, but I want to come back to Sneha's question. And Sneha, you're still here, which is great. Where's your question? Is thinking only positive and not having, it's about, her question's about thinking positive thoughts. So is thinking only positive and not having thoughts of needing to have interventions if the baby needs during birth a part of holding the space, like not open to any emergencies? And I'd like you to speak into that a bit and what comes up for you on that.
No, I wouldn't say it's just about pure positivity. I think that can be quite naive in a sense. You know, we need to look at all the angles, you know, like things happen, bad things happen. So I think when we understand intention, you know, the first thing is to have a powerful intention that this is going to come out in a positive way. That helps you feel at ease about the whole thing, you know. And then we have to confront our fears once again, that things may go wrong, death might happen, you know, C-section might happen. All of these different eventualities could happen. And when we were preparing for our free birth, it was about the last couple of months was all about having those conversations. Okay, death, what's going to happen if death happens? If we have to go to hospital, what's going to happen? All the plans and preparations had to be there for us. And my wife is not one of those people who would just like positivity, everything's going to be fine. No, she wants 100% to know that we are safe, we've prepared. She wants to be prepared for everything. And I think being prepared is it's a natural thing to do. We're physical beings. So that's part of the masculine for sure, like the preparedness, structure, creating the plan in any eventuality. But then at the same time, you know, you have to honor the energetics of intention. And that is what actually it's more powerful than any of the preparations that you can do. You know, so the ego needs preparation so that it can feel at ease. Otherwise, if you don't have any of things, then it's just a battle between you and your ego, and then things can still go wrong. You know, if it's not meant to be that way, if it's not meant to be the way that you planned, then what you're going to do? So I think preparation is key, but then and for me, that preparation helped me be at ease. It helped me just know, okay, I've got a plan in place. I've got that bag packed in that cupboard. I'm not going to think about it when I'm in the birth. I'm focusing 100% on getting this baby out here. We're not thinking about going to the hospital, you know, but we have the plan in place. So then it does come about, once again, confronting your fears, because fear is part of life, you know, and I think we kind of believe make fear into this big villain that it you know, it creates the fear, you know, when we don't deal with the fear, when we allow the fear to overtake us, then we actually attract that fear. We attract the eventuality that the fear wants to bring, right? But when we confront the fear with love and with bravery and kindness, knowing that we are powerful beings, then that changes that element, you know. But that may include preparing that bag. We had a doula, we had a midwife on call. We knew what was going to happen. We knew I'm going to drive to the hospital if this happens. We had all the bags packed, you know. But we didn't call any of them. We didn't call our doula. We didn't call our midwife. We didn't, you know, our doula happened to come by to bring a heater because it was getting cold. And, you know, it was great that she came, because as soon as baby came, there was a lot of cleaning up that needed to be done. And I wasn't prepared for it. I was with the kids and everything. So it just happened that way. But so I think, you know, when we allow that, the universe to guide us, but at the same time, we deal with our ego, because our ego needs those things, needs to be dealt with. You have to put it at ease in some way, shape, or form. So that probably looks different for everybody. But I totally believed in being prepared.
Yeah, I think,
more
you know,
questions. I can't actually see.
There's
Yes.
just more into Sneha's question, because I think it's obviously something that comes up with almost, you know, every family I work with, because you're wanting to imagine and dream and own and claim and be everything for this beautiful birth, but at the same time you kind of you know some things more or less, and you want to prepare, but you don't want to feed into that sense. I mean, we had to navigate it also during my birth, and I was working in the hospital, so I was seeing everything. And I was saying, no, if I go into labor, I'm going home. And it's, yeah, so just navigating that is very important, and people do it in different ways that are their way. Yeah. Birth keepers also, you know, the best, one of the best parts of a birth for me is packing everything away and knowing I didn't use anything. And I say, thank you for being there, that I could use you, and thank you that I didn't have to use you.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to say,
Yeah.
I'm just going to hope for the best, and I'm not going to have my midwife kit, because I really, really love Mother Nature. So it's an interesting balance. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh. And I mean, Mother Nature works with the ease and the flow, and then it also works with the gory details of mess that happens, things going wrong, you know. It's all part of the nature. So we have to embrace all of that.
Space of gratitude, so that if we do have to engage with something we didn't want to, or something that was fiery or any of that, we can actually change our energetic way of interacting with it, so that when we interact with the gynaes or the hospital, of thank you for being there, if when I need you, I'm so grateful to know that you are there. Yes. You know, it allows our mood to not be of like anything of judgment, of the self-judgment we might put on ourselves, that it's trapped there.
Yes. Yeah, so that's how I tend to use positivity.
Yeah.
Is thinking that everything is just going to be perfect all the time. But we set that intention, we put it out there because it is important to do that. But even if the thing is wrong, find how do I still use my positivity when things are going wrong? You know, it's acknowledging what's real, what is, and then in that activating your positivity if you have it available, you know, which it just takes some practice and you will. So yeah, that's my answer on that one. So I wanted to also just a couple of things. I just wanted to ask, does anybody have trouble or stories about, it's a lot of, and I think this is connected to it. So it's the stories that we tell ourselves, the mental narrative, which has a lot to do with why we end up judging things, etc., etc. And are we aware of these stories that are going through our minds? Because it plays such a big role in how we hold space. And in how then we deal with the negative outcomes if they happen. I think that's a very, very important thing. It's mental narrative. Does anyone have any questions or experiences? Yes, Tanika.
Yes, I think, well, I feel a big part of holding space in birth as well is getting out of that space of thinking that you have to do something. It's more of like a witnessing and seeing it unfold in front of your eyes. So being in that state of I have to do something is kind of expecting something to happen, kind of pulling that in, like something is going to happen right now and I'm going to have to be there and do something. Where if you just step back and you witness, I feel the capacity to see when something needs to be done expands, and you can actually connect better to that rather than being in that stressful state all the time thinking, what do I have to do now? What do I have to do now? What do I have to do now? If that makes sense.
Yes. Is that connected to like thinking things, that something is good and something is bad at all?
Yes, and also like I like if I think from a man's perspective, if you see a woman in labor and she's suffering and she's in pain, you have the sense that you have to do something about that, like either rub her back or stroke her hair, and sometimes that's not needed. Sometimes that pain just needs to be witnessed, and then it's fine. Like it's not like she's gonna die if you don't help her. She has to go through that, and just being a witness to that instead of feeling that you need to fix it or do something about it. That's, I think it gives you the space to see when she's in pain from the contractions and when she's in pain from shit, something's wrong now and we need to do something. Does that make sense?
Yes, for sure. Does anyone else have anything on that topic? I love this idea of being a witness, and for me, the words that I've always used is just to be an observer. Not, and I would call it. Then I would use the words also the non-judgmental observer, because you can observe something, but the whole time you're thinking that, oh, that's messed up, oh, that looks scary, oh, that's cringy, whatever, or that's bad, or type of thing, and it's something's either good or it's bad, or it's good or it's bad, whereas let's just observe it as it is without putting a label on it. And that's where this narrative thing also comes in for me. It's like, if the narrative is not serving you in that space, then drop that narrative if possible. How do we do that?
That's the narrative.
Yes, Gary.
I'm sitting here like this because I'm wanting to hear, but I've got so much rising out of me also. Because Tanika, what you said for me because I'm not having babies right now, I'm having metaphorical babies all over the place. And this process of birth is very, very tangible in my body and in that process. And what you are saying about witnessing, kind of just fell into a deeper space within me, because I could feel in a birthing process, or when we are navigating something painful within. I know it looks terrible to those close to us, and it feels pretty terrible too when you've got to go through this, like whatever we're going through within, and our ego is attacking us, and we try, we're churning it and we're churning it. Someone could just come and say, hey, come, just take a lollipop and let's go, whatever. And you're like, no, fuck, I'm feeling this. It's like you're about to feel it and feel that pain. And it takes a lot to like allow your body to go there. And you're going to get through it, and you're going to make a breakthrough. You're going to birth a baby of your inner self. And to have that process fixed or interfered with at any moment, you can kind of just feel how that energy would just, oh my God, it's so much easier. Yeah, I can't. But at the same time, it's not like it's hard or painful. It's like, I'm in this. I've got this. I've got this. I'm getting through this. I'm believing myself again. I'm picking myself up. I can do this. It's like that kind of feeling. I don't know. If I go more into it, I'm going to get really animated. So, but I could feel that. This like tendency to want to come and fix and stop, and actually, this is my process. It's okay. Just breathe with me. Just breathe. Just hold me in my breath, just as I'm expanding, just like tell me, I've got you. You can do this. Like that kind of feeling. Breath.
Yeah. And I guess with that witnessing, we can witness with a certain energy, right? We can witness in trust, maybe.
Yeah.
Or anything. With love or with kindness. I think that's when it comes to the hold. That's what the holding is. You're holding one, almost like you're holding one energy the whole time in that space. And that feels safe for that person, because they can feel that, wow, that this person's not changing. They're not going up and down and in and out, and they're just there. They're in their zone, whatever that is.
But now imagine inner us and what we might strive for in chaos or in times of confusion, or we don't know something, our inner child, what we might. And we come back to that same kind of protective space, like it's okay, it's okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to get through this. I can hold you. My child, my inner me, come back to your own space of breathing. You got this. Gonna be okay. It feels, like you're. Oh yeah, it's that surrender. Huh?
Yeah.
That surrender.
Yeah, and I get those reactions come up, which it's just a pattern that we've ingrained, and we don't have necessary control. So those reactions can come up, even if we are maybe we're in a surrendered state, and then all of a sudden, boom, we reacted. Then what happened? Then how do we deal? So that's where having your process is so important. Having your own. Well, I mean, like we all have resources, so it's just like trusting yourself that I've got a reaction. Okay, cool. I'm gonna deal with it, and not project it outwards. I'm gonna contain it, and for me, I always use forgiveness. I always come back to forgiveness. I find that forgiveness is a freeing thing for me. And when I find I've been judging myself, then I say, okay, I forgive you for judging. I forgive you for feeling this. I forgive you for thinking that this is a bad thing. Self-forgiveness, exactly. I've heard it say that all forgiveness is actually self-forgiveness. That has really, really helped me. And then I think the last thing that I wanted to speak on that we haven't touched on was, so we spoke about creating fields, right? Creating these bubbles of energy. So obviously we have our own natural energy field, a bubble around ourselves that is always there. And that's the, I mean, we've got multiple chakras and energy fields within our body, but the biggest one is our heart center, right? The heart energy field, right? Which is the toroidal field that goes around our whole body. It's like a big apple, right? And I feel that has, like, understanding that and understanding how that works and how to breathe with that, and the power of that we can activate while you know, being present with our own heart, can be very very useful in holding space. So I mean, all of these things that I've been speaking about, it all kind of comes through the heart in a sense, you know, because that's our energy, that's our biggest energy field. So it's also where our emotions come through. There's the connection between heart and mind, you know, or our logic and our feeling, and intuition also, I believe, comes through the heart. So just for me, sometimes I guess for someone who wants to try something new or try a different process, it's just settling into that heart space, and you can even breathe as if the breath is coming through the heart, in and out of the heart. Is very, very awesome to begin to just trust yourself and get into your body, and there's so much intelligence here that we aren't always tapping into. So if we can begin to tap into that, I found that was very, very helpful for me, to get out of my head as well. And I mean, this is a group of moms and women, so I know you understand this is much more natural to you than it is to me. Men, we usually stuck up here, and that's the problem. So I just wanted to mention that for me has been such a big, an important thing along the way as well. And that, you know, it's when we are putting the force field around the house or around the thing, it's the heart that's actually doing that. So yeah. Any questions on that, or any comments?
Roma, I just think, can we just take you everywhere with us? You've got such a calm energy. It's wonderful. So thank you
so much.
I've enjoyed today's session so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. And yeah, I appreciate this as well. It's been a beautiful discussion.
I've loved it.
Well, thank you, everyone. I guess if anyone has any comments or questions, we can add now, but I think it's good to also positive to leave with a sense of wanting more or like, okay, wait, what was that? That was a big box. Let's go back there when we're ready. Or if you're like me, let's just like sit in it all the time.
Now, can we do that box breathing though, if you don't mind?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always assume that everybody knows box breathing, but it's awesome to be able to share it. So box breathing, yeah, it's one of the most well-known breathing techniques nowadays, and it's just allowing each part of the breath to be kind of equal. And you can play around with this. It doesn't all have to be equal, but the main thing is that we're taking an inhale in, maybe for 4 seconds. Then we're going to hold our breath for 4 seconds. Exhale also for 4 seconds, and then hold the breath out also for 4 seconds. So the main thing is that you're having a bit of a breath hold, and you're having a breath hold out in between each inhale and exhale. And that has many physiological benefits on the body, and it does something really awesome for our ability to focus and think. So yeah, let's do that. So we're gonna I'll count through it. We can maybe breathe all the air out first. So let's breathe out. Okay, and let's take an inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold in. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. And just keep going like that. Find your own rhythm. It doesn't have to be perfectly on the amount of seconds, as long as we are holding in and holding out for a good 3 to 4 seconds would be great. We'll just do 2 more minutes. Okay, let's finish up our last round of box breathing. And yeah, lovely to end off in presence. So if anybody did that for the first time, I'm just curious what you felt or what you feel.
Just
Deeply
relaxed.
Focused.
And happy.
Awesome. Yeah, so you still use that every single day. You know, anxiety still comes, and if it's a moment that I need to be focused, I'll just box breathe. Even while I'm working, if I do a lot of writing, while I'm writing, I'm box breathing. It just keeps me in the zone. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Gary. This has been so awesome.
Hero, thank you to your beautiful family. I know we're all holding space for each other. And thank you all of you for being here and holding space for me and holding space for this beautiful opportunity to be birthed. So I think I have all your contact details because I think people might be looking for them now also. So I'll update the replay and your details there. So everyone will get it on the site. Thank you everyone for joining today. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, wherever you are, or getting this on the replay. And we'll see you tomorrow.